Well, I had loads of jobs. Paper girl, I worked on Saturday jobs in shoe shop, Sainsbury's, and as a waitress, all before university. Well, having studied political science, I wanted to do something in the real world to understand more about how the economy works and how businesses are funded. So I went into the city rather than staying in politics. The first job was in a tiny corporate finance company, and I stayed there for a short period of time and then went to EF Hutton, which was a big US brokerage firm, as a trainee account executive, and that was great fun. Made some brilliant friends, did my commodity futures exam, my New York Stock Exchange exam, and was trading on those futures and also on the London Metals Exchange. Well, after EF Hutton, I went to BZW, did a few years in the markets in investment banking, then was asked by Barclays to go and run the investment banking team, and did that at the time when Barings went bust, and then was promoted within the institutional banking group to the job of institutional banking director, responsible for Barclays' global banking relationships, ranging from trade finance to foreign exchange lines, swap lines, lending, standby letters of credit, and so on. And that was with a significant team of people and with an enormous budget. So that was the most senior role. I was appointed to there when I was 32 and 6 months pregnant. And that job was fantastic, but when my first child was born, it was quite a difficult balance, and so by the time he was 18 months old, I was very keen to either have a job share or a part-time job, and that was not feasible in Barclays, so we decided to part company, and from there I went to help an ex-customer to set up a new funds management company as its first managing director. And that was a part-time job, and that was a great role, but again, that grew so fast that it couldn't be managed part-time for more than, just under 2 years. And so I left there, having had my second child by now, and took a bit of time off, about 6 months off, and then went to Invesco Perpetual, which was much closer to home geographically. And I took on a part-time job as the senior investment officer and head of corporate governance, working directly for the chief investment officer, who then became chief executive. So my job was hiring fund managers, sorting out the bonus scheme, doing all of the regulatory and compliance analysis, and some work on new product development and so on. And that was a great, really flexible role that allowed me to balance work and home life. Well, I mean, the love of that job in Barclays, and I guess the disappointment at not being able to find that balance between work and home commitments. Well, people always say to me, don't you find Westminster is a terrible misogynistic place? But the answer is, after going into the city in 1987 as I did, then it really was quite a difficult place for a woman to work, and I came up against some quite significant barriers there, and loved it, but nevertheless I've always found Westminster to be much more egalitarian, much more supportive of women, and much more respectful of women. Well, the inspiration was right back when I was about 13, and it was the height of the Cold War, and my mum and stepfather had a furniture shop and were really struggling under a Labour government, and we were losing millions of man days to strike. So then I remember distinctly deciding one day I'm going to be an MP and make the world a better place. But of course that wasn't an immediate ambition. I wanted to first of all learn more about the world, so I had my very long financial career, but also get involved with politics at a local level. So I became a district councillor in 2003, and I was very involved from the late 90s with a charity that helps families who are struggling to bond with their newborn babies. So I also picked that up. So I've done a number of different things, but always long term the ambition was to become a Member of Parliament.